introduce myself first, then introduce Citrix, then introduce the Startup Accelerator program, which I'm launching here in India on behalf of Citrix. It's an exciting program that I'd like to have you all be kind of a part of, be able to kind of understand what it does, and that's the goal for today. So really to set out my own startup credentials, I've basically launched 4 startups, have basically raised about $5 million in investment, exited these 2 startups for about $40 million in exit valuation, right? So I'm not it's cool to call yourself a serial entrepreneur. I'm not really that. I'm a serial opportunist, let's say, So I've gone in and out of corporate, startups, a whole bunch of things over 22 years, Right now, I just sold my last startup, Citrix, in September, and joined them in their cloud and data center division. And so I head up the Startup Accelerator. Go to the next slide. So work from any place, anywhere, any device, anytime. That's Citrix value prop, right? So if you're thinking about what kind of companies, startups would be invested, anything that enables that to happen. Because we truly believe that's the future. That's been Citrix's model for 11 years now. And very often companies change their vision. You'll see, even the largest companies in the world trying to figure out what they should do every 4 or 5 years. Citrix has done exactly the same thing for the last 11 years, which is we want people to be able to get to their workspaces remotely from wherever they are and be able to do their work very effectively, right? And that's been true 11 years ago, and it's more true today than it was 11 years ago, right? So very, very kind of, let's say, focused and kind of compassed company, right? That's what we're doing, so just that's the only thing I wanted to do in terms of Citrix introduction. What is the Startup Accelerator? 12 companies will invest in over a year, 18-month program, up to 18 months. You should be seed round. If you've already got an institutional investor, it's too late. You can be in a garage, you can be 2 guys with an idea. It can be, a team of 8 with a product, a prototype, but, basically not already Series A, okay? The amount of funding, 100 to about 400K, in that range. It could be less than 100K. We want to put our money in effective use. So it's use of funds. It could be staged, tranched in the sense that you can say, okay, I can only use 25K right now, but I need it over the next 3 months. I'll prove some milestone and go to the next level, right? So very flexible. What are the 4 C's that we'll provide you? One is capital, which I've already told you about. The second is coaching. We've got 5,000 executives in our company. Not all executives, but employees and executives. Many startups that have kind of links to all the VCs in the world, all the angel investors in the world, and spread out in every country in the world. So we have a huge network, and we're going to try and tap into that. And we're a very entrepreneurial company. Most of the company was acquired from other startups. So at every level, you'll have, if it's open source, we have founders of ZenSource who are at our company. If it's, remote meetings, we've got all the GoToMeeting people who are part of our company. If it's desktop, we have one of the largest desktop virtualization companies in the world. So we've got connections back to Microsoft, we've got partnership with Wise, we've got partnership with Skype, Amazon, all of those things, right? So those are the kind of connections we can help make for you. And our customer base, 230,000 customers, enterprise customers around the world. Ideally, the startups we invest in will allow us to kind of very early stage be able to kind of build products that these companies, these customers will require, buy from us 3-4 years out. So we're not looking for something that will fill a product gap today. That's not our goal. My goal is not to come here and say, okay, I don't have this in my product, I'm trying to find a company. I'm trying to find visionary startups that will kind of build something that we could use 5 years from now. That's the goal, right? It's not near term. And, I should have highlighted this will be, not only is it seed stage, but it'll be very patient capital, and it'll be investor kind of entrepreneur friendly. So it'll be very reasonable terms, okay? It's not your usual VC round. We'll actually allow the valuation to come in at the Series A. So we'll just put debt in, we'll take a lot of risk with you, and we'll take whatever valuation you get and you go for your Series A. So it's very friendly for an entrepreneur, okay? We'll also help you incubate and stuff like that if you want facilities and, other kind of in-kind kind of contributions, right? And so what's the call to action? Go to our website, search for Citrix Accelerator. You can contact me, and essentially you can go ahead and review if there's a good match, mutual fit, your startup idea, your startup versus what we do at a very broad level. Be very expansive in kind of your interpretation of what we do, and go ahead and pitch. We've already got about 50 or 60 startups in Silicon Valley that have pitched. We've already made our first investment, Primadesk. You can go take a look at that if you Google. We're looking for other very exciting startups. Okay? Now, somebody says, people kind of ask me, what is the investment thesis? It's pretty wide open, okay? But, you should be able to go to the Citrix side, like I said, work from anywhere, any device, and that's kind of our underlying principle, right? And we obviously, listen, there's a leverage we're seeking when we invest in a startup. It's something that should kind of maybe play in our space down the road, because that's where we can bring value. Not just capital. So it's more than just capital that we want to bring. We want to get you connections, we want to bring you insight, we want to bring you kind of leverage with the analysts, with the startup kind of ecosystem for further financing, right? All of that. And we can do that best if it's something we understand or can kind of project on our roadmap down the road, right? And the last thing, just contact information. So that's my email address, but you should be able to find me quite easily, regardless. It's just Citrix and startup, and you can kind of look me up, you can connect to me on LinkedIn if you want to, whatever. I'm very accessible and willing to kind of sit in on pitches and help you guys, It's a good program. Please go ahead and kind of submit. If you know others that might be interested, please go ahead and let them know. Because see, companies, especially MNC companies, will launch these kind of programs once, and hopefully they see good traction, where there's lots of good startups that are submitting, then they'll keep the programs going. Okay? So it's good from a startup ecosystem perspective to make sure that they see a good kind of set of deal flows. Even if they don't invest, that doesn't matter. Even if you don't want to take the investment, that doesn't matter. It's just that they should feel like there's a good ecosystem developing in Bangalore. And so I encourage you all to get the word out. I'm going to be talking to several groups, including yourselves, And that's it. Any questions? I'd be glad to take some. So the startups that basically are in either collaboration, cloud, desktop virtualization, in networking, storage systems, anything that's cloudy, SASE. There's a whole bunch of stuff, right? I mean, I can't tell you this is the startup, and I don't want to kind of constrict it by a certain definition. But clearly, we're targeting the enterprise market. So if you came and told me I'm doing another Flipkart, not that interested, right? If you told me I'm doing an AWS, maybe, so those are kind of two Amazon models, right? That you could look at. If you told me you're doing kind of music, the card or whatever Amazon has, maybe, it's like
not consumer side.
What's that?
Not consumer friend.
No, not necessarily. We are enabling the consumer. If you go see the launch of kind of Google Chrome and a bunch of things that Google's done, Citrix powers it. The top 3 out of the top 10, 3 Citrix apps are the top 10 iPad apps for businesses, right? And those are consumer devices.
So you do.
So we do a lot of stuff that's consumer facing.
Okay.
It's like, but we have a business, let's say, theme to it, right?
Okay.
So basically, there's a consumerization of IT that's happening, right? People want to bring their devices. I want to bring my Android phone into work. I want to pick my laptop. I just want the company to give me a budget. I go buy whatever laptop I want or whatever devices I want, right? My IT, my enterprise IT should work on that.
Cool.
So we enable technologies like that. We have something called Zen Client that will take basically a laptop and give it 2 personalities, right? Okay. Your enterprise personality, your personal. And each is completely isolated from the other. So you can have a single device with both sets of apps, your personal, applications, and your corporate applications seamlessly kind of interfacing with the same desktop, right? So there's a lot of consumerization that's happening in enterprises too. Okay. So don't kind of assume, it's not e-commerce consumer, let's say.
Exactly.
You're going to sell movie tickets in Bangalore, I'm not interested, right? It's like, that's all I would say,
With the amount of money that you've already spent into probably corporations that are outside, and similar domains like, virtualization or, applications which are related to group communications, would you also invest in same kind of domains in India?
Yes.
Because you already probably invested in US.
No, so the program is global. Our vision is global, and our criteria is global.
I mean, even if you have a competitor product, which is from, let's say, Bangalore, would you invest?
Doesn't matter. I mean, listen, if you're a good startup, good team, good idea, and the right segment, and the timing is right, you'll invest. I mean, listen, there's a lot of criteria to investing, right? All I'll tell you is this is more friendly than going to go raise a VC round. If the idea is right? There has to be alignment. Listen, let me be the first to tell you. Citrix is not going to invest in something that's completely out of left field, right? That doesn't make any sense because we won't be able to add value. But other than that, if we've already made an investment in exactly the same company, we're not going to do another clone here. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
So do you expect the startup to use some of the technology?
No, nothing. I mean, ideally we'll guide you, we'll help you understand what we have, but this is not like, okay, we don't have a philosophy. Like if you went to, let's say, Sun, they'd say use Java. If you went to Microsoft, they say use .NET, right? And nothing wrong with that approach. Our approach is very agnostic, right? We just say, hey, are you building technologies that can serve our vision, which is work from anywhere, anytime, any place, any device, right? That's fundamentally what we're doing.
And what stage of the startup do you kind of?
Early. Idea to prototype to, I've got my first few customers. You shouldn't have raised your A round already. Because then you're already, you've got a VC. I mean, at this point, you should be mature enough, you don't need 100K, right? That's you're on to the next kind of level, right?
What is the 18 months? What is the 18 months?
So we feel like, listen, if we can't create value for you in 18 months and get you to an A round, we failed. So that's it. We kind of put a gate on ourselves, 0 to 18 months, and you should then graduate. If you can't graduate by then, we've done something wrong, or you're just not getting the traction you need to, right?
Are there any exit strategies?
Basically, the exit strategies would be, obviously, we might look to acquire some of these things. That's one. We'll help you get an A round. That's the second. Right? We'll help you get acquired by some of our partner companies if we don't want to acquire. I mean, listen, it all comes down to, in the end, the founders still have to do the work, okay? This is capital, it's coaching, it's customers and connections, right? After that, listen, it's an entrepreneurial venture. Citrix is not going to kind of guarantee your success. You'll still have to do a lot of work. It's just an enabler, let's say.
Do you fund even non-IT companies?
Give me an example.
Maybe retail, supply chain?
Yeah, so we wouldn't touch those, really. I mean, we wouldn't touch something where, you're trying to do bricks and mortar, cutting zone or whatever, That's not our business model, right? And that wouldn't, I don't know how I leverage that in my business going forward to my 240,000 customers, right? It wouldn't work.
For the investment band of $100,000 to $400,000, what is the equity band that you're looking at?
Yeah, so basically we take debt. So it's a debt instrument. So, this accelerates the conversation. If I sit down with you and say, okay, your company is worth X dollars, you immediately get into a complicated decision where you as an entrepreneur are frozen, right? You're like, okay, now what is my company really worth? Am I giving away too much? Am I giving away too little? We're like, you have that conversation with the first VC or the first institutional investor. We like your idea, we like you, we like your team, your product. We'll invest so much. This is what you need to get going. Let us take a debt instrument or have a rate of interest on it. Whenever you raise your A round, we'll get money at that same value. That's it, simple, It's a straightforward kind of calculus, That's what when you say investor friendly, entrepreneur friendly, that's what you mean, right? Which is, I'm not trying to lock in a valuation today. I'm saying you create more value, that's to your benefit too, right? And to our benefit. We've only done one investment so far, so it's a brand new program. So, like I said, the Primer Desk is the only one. Go take a look at it. It's a startup that basically backs up all your cloud data. So if you have Gmail, you have Picasa, you have a bunch of other things, Snap, it'll back it all up, sideways copy. So if you need to back up all your cloud data, Primer Desk does that for you. Sign up for an account, give all your credentials, it'll aggregate everything like cloud backup for you, to your cloud data. That's it. Yeah, it could be services based. Again, the alignment is important. Generally, pure services based is harder because how do you leverage technology? You're not building any IP. It'll be more or less. Let's say spectrum of interest, maybe a little less. But if it's a services some other thing, managed service cloud provider from India, something, right? If there's a services component, that would preclude you. But ideally, there'd be an IP component as well, right? That's
Which one is it? What company?
Primer Desk.
Primer Desk.
Google for it.
Prima, right? P-R-I-M-A.
P-R-I-M-A-D-S-K.
A lot of large companies have this program. Is it an implicit admission that large companies cannot innovate and acquire usability?
Yeah, so it is an implicit agreement. It's an implication that large companies are, slow They're not as flexible. They think too big, so they're not able to imbibe small ideas necessarily. And we don't have all the ideas. Okay? So that's a budget and call them an incubated entrepreneur, right? That's another model. And others say, listen, we cannot be sure that everybody in the company has the best ideas. Let's just be open. This program is open to Citrix employees who want to leave. But you got to quit your job. So don't just come here and say, I want to have my monthly salary plus I want to do a startup. That doesn't work. You submit your idea, you can quit, you can join this, we'll fund you. But there's no guarantee we'll take you back when it fails. Which is, the way it should be, right? I mean, there has to be some, the basic thing about startups is, you got to be willing to take that risk, right? There have been many times in my kind of thing where, I've been at the edge, right? Where if I don't raise the next round, I have to figure out what to do with the 12 employees I have in the office, right? And, you get to those points. Unless you're willing to take that risk, there's no point in a startup, And so that's what we tell Citrix employees. It's wide open to you. Yeah, your boss won't hold it against you that you submitted the idea and then it got rejected. It's like, no issues, But we want to see all the ideas, But if you do take an idea and you run with it, you got to quit. Anyway, hey, I don't want to take any more time. Thank you very much. And feel free to kind of reach out to me if you have any interest in the program or get the word out to others. Because I suspect, there's more than just this group that may be a good candidate, for this. Thank you.